This is Sky News with Paula Middlehurst.
Well, there have been extraordinary scenes in Berlin tonight as thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. The Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in a new world order, saying he was speaking as a proud citizen of the United States and a fellow citizen of the world. Well, Senator Obama's tackled America's place in the world at several points in his speech, acknowledging recent splits between the U.S. and the rest of the international community.
In Europe, the view that America is part of what has gone wrong in our world, rather than a force to help us make it right, has become all too common. Yes, there have been differences between America and Europe. No doubt there will be differences in the future. But the burdens of global citizenship continue to bind us together. A change of leadership in Washington will not lift this burden. In this new century, Americans and Europeans alike will be required to do more, not less. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way, the one way, to protect our common security and advance our common humanity.
That I'm running for President Bush's third term. Good news about our candidate is there'll be a new president, but he's not going to change.
We're going to stay the course in Iraq.
We've got to stay the course, and I believe that's what President Bush is committed to.
As we fix Social Security, the best way to reach that goal is through voluntary personal retirement accounts.
We need personal savings accounts, but we got to fix this system.
Make the tax relief permanent.
We need to make the Bush tax cuts permanent.
Readily concede that, it's not going to produce a barrel of oil tomorrow, but it is going to change the psychology.
The fact that we are exploiting those reserves would have a psychological impact that I think is beneficial.
I don't believe we're headed into a recession.
I don't think we're headed to a recession.
On the one hand and on the other hand.
On the one hand, on the other hand.
That I'm running for President Bush's third term.
Well, I'm very honored and humbled to have the opportunity to receive the endorsement of the President of the United States, a man who I have great admiration, respect, and affection. He and I, as is well known, had a very good competition in the year 2000, and I was privileged and proud to have the opportunity to campaign for his election and re-election to the presidency of the United States. I appreciate his endorsement. I appreciate his service to our country. I intend to have as much possible campaigning events and together as is in keeping with the President's heavy schedule.
That I'm running for President Bush's third term.
The President and I agree on most issues. There was a recent study that showed that I voted with the President over 90% of the time.
The fact is that I have agreed with President Bush far more than I have disagreed. And on the transcendent issues, the most important issues of our day, I have been totally in agreement and support of President Bush. So have we had some disagreements on some issues, both particularly domestic issues? Yes. But I will argue my conservative record voting with anyone's, and I will also submit that my support for President Bush has been active and very impassioned on issues that are important to the American people. And I'm particularly talking about the war on terror, the war in Iraq, national security, national defense, support of men and women in the military, physical discipline, a number of other issues. So I strongly disagree with any assertion that I've been more at odds with the President of the United States than I've been in agreement.
That I'm running for President Bush's third term.
McCain said if he were in charge during Katrina, he would have been on the ground helping.
The morning that Katrina made land, mere hours after it hit, where was Senator McCain? Celebrating his own birthday with President Bush right next to Air Force One on the ground in Arizona.
Read the New York Times. Here, go get this piece. This is page 18 on July 17th. Just look at the chart. Where's the money coming from? It's coming from Wall Street. Look at Obama. 67% of his money comes from $500 or more, and he's trying to let you believe that it's coming from the kids. Hillary Clinton, 89% of her money, $500 or more, comes from where? Wall Street. Here, 73% Edwards. What do you think that they're buying? This is Wall Street that finances the insurance companies, that finances the pharmaceuticals, finances the military-industrial complex. Obama wants to have more soldiers. We didn't even get around to Iraq, where they were telling us that they voted all night on what, a piece of legislation to leave 100,000 troops permanently in Iraq. This is a hoax. They're playing on the American people.
Do you distinguish between the three leading candidates coming out of Iowa and out of going into New Hampshire in terms of the polling? You know, Obama and Edwards and Clinton. Do you distinguish between them in any way?
No, I think that they're the product of the celebrity nature of American communication.
But when you get down to the policy level, there are some differences between them. Are they significant differences?
No, not at all. They're not significant. All three of them want the health care system paid for through business enterprise, which cripples business enterprise. What's the difference? And as far as education, they're all three endorsed by the NEA. You're not going to see any changes in our educational system. Education, health care, two vital ones. The rest is just rinky-dinking around.
Edwards has certainly been talking more aggressively about taking on corporate America.
Well, yeah. Tell me how you're going to do that.
Well, certainly there are laws Congress could pass. I mean, a president working with
Congress could do a good job theoretically, but it can't. Why? It's owned lock, stock, and barrel by corporate America.
In a campaign like this, if someone has a potential of winning and makes some kind of promises, in theory they could mean something.
In theory, what it means is you're a hypocrite. That's what it means in theory. Because if you're smart enough to know you can deliver, and you tell them you can deliver, what are you doing? You're raising expectations.
So then what do you make of Obama's promise of change and all the rhetoric that's been going along with it?
Foolish. Dangerous.
Because
he raises greater expectations of the youth and can't deliver. And the worst thing a leader can do is raise expectations. And they don't happen. You create a whole new generation of cynics. Listen to the words. Make a speech and use the word change 10 times. But specifically going to change. You're going to change the healthcare system? Not really. You're going to change the military-industrial complex? Not really. He wants another 100,000 more troops. You're going to change anything about your relationship with Iran? Not really. Nukes are on the table. You're going to change anything with respect to Israel? Not really. He's supported by AIPAC. Going to change anything for education? He's on the education committee. He's supported by the NEA. Where's change? I don't see any change. But he doesn't say any of those things. He lets you figure out what the change is. So it's like an actor. What does an actor do? He gives you a scene, and you read into it what the scene means to you. And that's what he's doing. That's terrible. Because what you read into it isn't what's going to happen.